In 1960, only 12% of American homes had air conditioning. The other 88% had something better. They had a front porch. Your grandmother was in that 88%, and in summer, she was more comfortable than you are right now. That is not nostalgia. It is 12 specific features every well-built American home had 100 years ago. Features that cooled the porch, the windows, and the whole house without a single watt of electricity. Features your builder has never heard of. Close your eyes. Summer, 92 degrees. A screen door slams somewhere down the street. The chains of the swing creaking that soft, slow rhythm you can still hear. The pine floor groaning under her feet. The ceiling above her painted the strangest, softest shade of blue. A breeze that makes the heat feel almost kind. That porch was working. Every inch of it. The floor, the lattice, the ceiling, even the paint. All of it doing a job. And we deleted every piece when we installed central air. In the next few minutes, I will walk you through the 12 features we lost. Features that made American summers bearable for over 100 years, and that have quietly disappeared from almost every home built in the last 40 years. From the Greek Revival farmhouse to the Victorian in town, from the craftsman bungalow to the low country cottage, the dog trot, the shotgun, the Charleston single house, all of them were designed around the porch. Every one of them. Stay with me. Number 9 is the one your grandmother would cry about. Number 12 is the one we miss the most without even knowing it. Number 1. The tongue and groove pine floor. Look down at the floor of an old southern porch and you will see narrow, perfectly fitted strips of pine. That is tongue and groove flooring. And it was not a style choice. It was a working system. Old porch floors were laid with a deliberate slope, 1/4 of an inch per foot, sloping away from the house. The Southern Pine Council still publishes that specification. The slope let rainwater run off in seconds. The tight fit kept boards from cupping in the humidity. And here's the part nobody talks about. Real wood breathes. Old house preservationists believe pine porch floors absorbed moisture from humid morning air and released it as the day warmed. A slow exchange that could imply why these porches feel cooler underfoot than a sealed concrete slab ever will. Walk on a composite porch board today. Hot, loud, sealed plastic over a foam core. Your grandmother's porch floor was a machine. Almost no builder uses it anymore. Tell me in the comments if your grandmother's porch had a floor like that, because the next feature is the one nobody ever looks at, and it might be the most important one of all. Number 2. Lattice skirting. Now look under the porch. If it is an old porch, you will see lattice. Diamond pattern, painted white. People look at lattice and think decoration. It is not. It is the lungs of the porch. Old porches were raised 18 inches, 2 feet, sometimes 3 feet off the ground. The lattice let cool air flow into that shaded crawl space, and what we can reasonably infer is that this pocket of air, shaded all day, stayed cooler than the open yard. The Southern Pine Builder's Manual recommends ornamental vents or lattice skirting to encourage airflow beneath the porch. The underside of the floor stayed cooler than the air around it, and you stayed cooler standing on it. Today, builders fill that gap with solid panels or pour the porch as a slab and skip the gap entirely. The lungs are gone, and nobody notices until July. Now look up. Because what is over your head on an old porch is just as carefully designed as what is under your feet. Number 3. The beadboard tongue and groove ceiling. Tilt your head back on an old porch and you will see a ceiling that almost nobody builds anymore. Narrow strips of pine, 3 or 4 inches wide, fitted tongue and groove. Real beadboard. This was not a fancy detail. It was the standard on countless American homes from the late 1800s well into the 1930s, especially in the South, and it did several things at once. It sealed the underside of the porch roof so birds, wasps, and squirrels would have a much harder time nesting in the rafters. Old house preservationists have also noted that the porous wood likely absorbed some of the day's humidity and gave it back at night, which based on how wood behaves in humid climates could have taken a small bite out of the heat. And it was the perfect surface for a coat of paint, a very particular coat of paint, which is exactly where we are going next. Number 4, the Haint blue painted ceiling. This is one of the most beautiful and most misunderstood features in all of American home design. The tradition is called Haint blue, a soft, robin's egg blue painted on the underside of the porch ceiling. It originated with the Gullah Geechee, descendants of enslaved Africans on the rice and indigo plantations of the Atlantic coast. They believed Haints, or restless spirits, could not cross water or enter the sky, so they painted the porch ceiling the color of water or the color of the sky to confuse any spirit approaching the house. One of the most often cited early examples is the ceiling of the slave quarters at the Owens Thomas House in Savannah, painted in the early 19th century with pigment from crushed indigo plants. The tradition spread across the South and eventually reached New England, and here is the part designers love. The old Haint blue paint was mixed with lime and milk. Lime is a natural insect deterrent. Southerners swore Haint blue kept wasps out of the rafters, which could imply the lime was doing real work, not just folklore. Every time you see a builder paint a porch ceiling flat white, you are looking at a tradition someone threw away. Let me pause right here because something has probably already occurred to you. The people who built these porches were not poor. They were not making do. They had everything they needed. Your grandmother's porch was not a downgrade from your covered patio. Your covered patio is a downgrade from your grandmother's porch. She had the floor, the ceiling, the lattice underneath, Haint blue overhead, and the sound of a screen door, and she did not need to apologize for any of it. We spent 50 years convincing ourselves that more square footage and a bigger AC unit was progress. In some ways, it was, but in other ways, we sold the soul of the American summer for a thermostat. Let me show you the next 4 things she had. Number 5, the deep, generous roof overhang. Stand at the edge of a real old southern porch and look up. The roof does not stop at the columns. It hangs 3, 4, sometimes 5 feet past them. That overhang was not a stylistic flourish. It was solar math. In June and July, the sun sits high. A deep overhang blocks it from ever touching the porch floor or the wall. In December and January, the sun sits low. The same overhang lets it slide right under, warming the porch and the wall behind. Based on how consistently old homes were built this way, we can reasonably infer that builders did this intentionally, practicing what we now call passive solar design 100 years before anyone gave it a name. Today's spec home builders shave overhangs down to 12 inches, sometimes less, and it cooks the porch from May to October, but the overhang only solves half the problem, because the sun moves. And here's where the old builders solved that too. Number 6, the wraparound geometry. A porch that wraps around 2 or 3 sides of the house was not built that way for the view. It was built that way for the sun. A wraparound gives you somewhere shady to sit at every hour of the day. In the morning, the west side. By midday, the north. By afternoon, the east, away from the brutal western sun. The shade follows you, and a wraparound shades the exterior walls. Shaded walls absorb dramatically less heat than walls baking in the sun. The wraparound was cooling the house from the outside all day, without a single watt of electricity. The covered 6x10 slab on a new build cannot follow the sun. It cannot shade the walls. So you sit there for 20 minutes and go inside. Now look up again, because there is one more dimension of the old porch we have not talked about, and it might be the one that makes the biggest difference on a 90-degree afternoon. Number 7, tall porch ceilings. Walk under the porch of a Greek revival or a Victorian and look up. The ceiling is high, not 8 feet. 10, 11, sometimes 12 feet over your head. There is a reason. Hot air rises. Tall porch ceilings let the hottest air drift up and away from the people sitting underneath. The seating zone, 3 to 6 feet off the floor, stayed measurably cooler. Architectural historians note 10-foot ceilings became the norm in the late 19th century, specifically because they kept rooms cooler. Modern porches with 8-foot or even 7-foot ceilings trap the day's heat right above your head. You feel it on the back of your neck, and you blame the weather. It is not the weather, it is the ceiling. This next feature is on almost every list of old house details, and I have something to say about it. Of all the small tricks old builders used to keep a house breathing, this one might be the most quietly genius, and the easiest to put back. Number 8. The transom window between the house and the porch. In old southern homes, the windows and doors that opened onto the porch often had transom windows above them. Transoms are small horizontal windows mounted above a door frame, hinged so you could tilt them open. The physics is simple. Hot air rises. When the inside was warmer than the porch, the transom let that hot air escape at ceiling height, what engineers now call the stack effect, or chimney effect, drawing cooler air in through windows on the shady side. When the porch was hotter, the same transom worked in reverse. Open it, close the door, and you sealed the porch heat out while keeping the house breathing through its other windows. Tall ceilings and transoms working together maximize that stack effect, and the old builders understood it intuitively, even if they never used the term. One restoration expert writing for the Craftsman blog has reported that operable transoms paired with tall ceilings could reduce interior temperatures by up to 5 to 7 degrees during a heat wave. 5 to 7 degrees. From a hinged piece of glass over a door. We bricked them in. We drywalled over them. Number 9. Window awnings. Number 9 is the feature your grandmother would cry about, because it is the one your builder absolutely refuses to give you. Window awnings, fabric or metal mounted above every window of the house, often striped, often canvas. According to energy.gov, the U.S. Department of Energy has published the actual numbers. Window awnings can reduce solar heat gain by up to 65% on south-facing windows and 77% on west-facing windows. 2/3 and 3/4 of the heat gone before it ever reaches the glass. The awning and the porch worked as a team. The porch shaded the lower windows. The awning shaded the upper ones. The house never saw direct sun in the summer. Even the White House had striped awnings for decades. Then, in the post-war decades, the look fell out of fashion. The awnings came down, and we replaced them with a higher electric bill. Now, this next one is going to bring a memory back. I can almost guarantee it. It is the one almost every comment on this channel mentions, the one nobody ever had to explain to a child. Number 10. The built-in porch swing. You probably already know exactly what this looks like because you can see it in your mind right now. 2 heavy chains drop from the porch ceiling. A wooden bench, painted white, hangs from those chains. And you sat on it, in the morning with coffee, in the evening after dinner when you were sad. The swings of that era were treated as part of the architecture itself. Walk into homes built from the 1880s through the 1940s, and you can still find the original iron hooks anchored deep into the porch ceiling joists. Whether builder or first family installed them, the swing was where the house wanted you to sit, and the swing was also, quietly, doing a little cooling work. Sitting in motion, even gently, generates a tiny breeze across your skin. It is reasonable to think part of the swing's appeal on the hottest evenings was that it kept the air moving when there was none. You can buy a swing on Amazon. You cannot buy the hook already in the ceiling, set there when the house was built, waiting for you. And right above that swing, there was usually one more thing working hard to make a southern August bearable. Number 11. The real porch ceiling fan. The electric ceiling fan was invented in 1882 by a German-American engineer named Philip Diehl. He took one of the small motors he had designed at Singer for sewing machines, mounted it on the ceiling, and the modern ceiling fan was born. For the next 40 years, the ceiling fan was the king of the porch. Old porch fans were not the polite, sealed fans we screw to a covered patio today. They were big, loud, unguarded metal blades on a long drop rod, moving genuine volumes of air. According to Energy.gov, the U.S. Department of Energy notes that a properly running ceiling fan can make a room feel about 4 degrees cooler, a product of the wind chill effect. And on a high setting, that wind chill effect can feel as much as 8 degrees cooler than the still air around it. 8 degrees. Just from moving air. Today, most new homes do not put a ceiling fan on the porch at all. The ceiling is too low. The wiring isn't there. The builder skipped it. She had one. You don't. Which brings us to the last one. The one we have lost the most. The one I saved for the end. Because it might be the most beautiful thing we ever stopped building. Number 12. The sleeping porch. This is the one almost no new home in America still has, and the one we have lost the most without realizing. The sleeping porch was a screened, open-air room, almost always on the second floor. Mosquito screens on 3 sides, cross ventilation from every direction. It was a staple of the craftsman bungalow style, and some of the most photographed examples are in arts and crafts homes like the Gamble House in Pasadena, California, one of the most photographed sleeping porches in America, designed by Green & Green in 1908. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, tuberculosis was one of the leading causes of death. Doctors and reformers promoted what was called the open-air movement, the belief that sleeping outdoors in cool, moving air strengthened the lungs. Architects built sleeping porches into the homes of the wealthy, then the middle class. Frank Lloyd Wright designed them into his work, including Fallingwater. But even after tuberculosis was no longer a national emergency, families kept the sleeping porches. Because sleeping on a screened second-floor porch in summer was the best night's sleep anyone was ever going to get. The temperature could drop 10 or 15 degrees from sundown to sunrise. The breeze came up through the trees. The crickets sang. Then air conditioning came along. We closed the screens, installed central air, turned the sleeping porch into a sunroom or another bedroom. We sold one of the most beautiful experiences a home could offer for a thermostat set to 72. What we lost was not a feature. What we lost was an evening. The American front porch was what sociologists would later call a third place. Not the living room, not the bedroom, the place between the inside and the outside where the family talked, where children played until the fireflies came out, where grandmother sat with iced tea. It cooled itself. It cost almost nothing to run. A real porch in 1920 was thinking. The floor, the lattice, the ceiling, the fan, the swing, even the paint. Every detail was doing a job. You can still build all of this. Raise a porch off the ground, paint a ceiling Haint blue, hang a swing on a real ceiling hook. And if you do, you will feel the difference the very first August evening you sit out there. Because your grandmother was not waiting for progress. She was already living in it. If this brought back a memory of a porch you grew up on, leave a comment and tell us about it. And if you want more videos on the home features builders quietly stopped including, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the porch.